I really wasn't sure where they were going with Christopher's Christmas mission. I was slightly worried it was going to be giving the wrong message, but actually it ended up being really moving. And I'll discuss more about that with a spoiler warning towards the end of this. This is actually a Swedish Christmas animated short. The English version is actually narrated by Cribbins. I did, of course, listen to the English version. This was released in 1973, directed by Åhlin. I apologise if I've mispronounced that. Written by Tage Danielsson. And it's about this young boy called Christopher who works in the post office in the run-up to Christmas. And I don't know if this is customary in Sweden, but it was talking about how the parcels would have the name of the recipient and their title, their job title. I don't know if that's common practice in Sweden. It's not something we do in the UK. But either way, when he found parcels that had the titles of people who he assumed had a lot of money, so businessmen, directors, people high up in their field, he would put those parcels to one side. And what he was going to do, very much inspired by Robin Hood, was give those parcels to poor people. He was putting labels over the top of the parcel labels, hiding the sender addresses, and basically re-gifting them. He had no idea what was in the inside of them. There was no exact evidence that they were Christmas presents, but nevertheless, he stole these parcels. He stole from the people he assumed were rich to give to the poor. And it seemed like he was getting away with this, and he was stealing post, which is an offence, regardless of whether you're doing it with good intentions. And I was really concerned about the message this was giving. And I'll talk about, with a spoiler warning at the end, kind of what happened with that. I don't want to ruin it just now. But it was certainly very thought-provoking. Obviously, the point of it is to encourage people who have something to give to those who don't. Not even if you're rich, but if you have something to spare to help those in need, maybe this will inspire you to do that. And I watched this not near Christmas, it's October, although we are starting to get into the festive season, but I think it's something that is a good message for all year round. It's relatively well animated. It definitely feels like a 70s animation. Cribbins was fantastic. Very clear pronunciations, very easy to follow, very pleasing to listen to. I certainly enjoyed it, but as I said, it did cause me some concern with the message it was giving. So I guess a spoiler warning from now, I'm going to discuss kind of what happened with Christopher. So towards the end of the film, Christopher's, I think his aunt, his father's sister, phoned up and said, I sent you this china plate, did you receive it? And his father says no, and Christopher has to confess that he was keeping back all of these parcels. His father was quite well off. And he confessed that he was keeping them to give to the poor. And he did indeed do that, which was a lovely thing to see. And his father is flabbergasted that his own son would steal. Because that is, at the end of the day, what it is. And he made Christopher visit the people whose parcels he had stolen and confess what he had done. And very beautifully, a lot of these people were actually just overjoyed at the kindness that Christopher had shown. Now, if somebody told me they'd stolen my parcel, granted I'm not rich and wealthy, but if they did, I wouldn't just be, oh, that was a nice thing for you to do. I don't think their reactions were very believable. But the point of it, as I read it, is to show that people who are wealthy may actually be able to spare some Christmas kindness. And maybe it just takes a young boy like Christopher to encourage them to do so. And there were a few lines about how they're fed up of people sending them, knickknacks and trinkets and things at Christmas that nobody really actually needs. And maybe you could put that money and that time and effort to good use and help out somebody instead. So there are some beautiful messages in this, but it was touch and go for a while. I did think, honestly, Christopher's going to get away with this. He's not going to feel the repercussions of having stolen. And people might think that this is the right thing to do, but it did, it managed to bring itself back in, which was crucial, I think. Definitely worth watching, though, if you like Christmas animations. It's certainly very unique in its presentation, but with a very important message. Christopher's Christmas Mission is definitely one that I recommend.